And bozos, and those are the only B words we're going to use. It's Tuesday, December 7th, and we definitely don't have issues. Home children, you're going to need this handouty thing. It's on Canvas. If you go to today and find the thing that says "Don't be idioms," this is the piece of paper we're going to be using. Living children, you should have already written your name on it. Hopefully the first and last, so the bad things would not have to happen to you from there.
I did.
And let's get into our learny bits today, since my other classes are already short. Good job. Alright, for you guys, we are starting on backside in this spot. So I thought if I pointed directly to it, it would make things a little bit easier for you as we get into it. So, idioms. We're going to go through in that top left one, we're just going to give you guys the definitions to write down, and then that way you can cheat off those definitions for all the other ones moving forward. So the first thing you're going to do is above the two little boxes that say literal definition and figurative definition, you're going to write the definition of an idiom, which is not very exciting, but it is. It's going to be I bet your pencil's going. A phrase that has two definitions, the literal and figurative. So phrase with two definitions, literal and figurative. So literally,
oh, there.
You are literally writing this on your handout. Where? On the spot. We just went through and pointed out to you.
Do I have which phrase is two definitions?
As I figuratively want to strangle some of you.
That's not legal.
That's why I said figurative. For those of you who don't know the difference between literal and figurative, we're getting ready to edumacate you.
Did you just say educate?
I did.
Why?
Because some of you guys need extra edumacating.
Because we know English.
So as an example, if I were to use the phrase, your issues right now are driving me up a wall, that would be an idiom. Not idiot. Those are the things that are around you in a classroom. That's not what I'm teaching.
Including you?
It's almost impossible to teach idiots, says the teacher to the kids losing points talking out loud. But idioms, we can teach. Don't you throw down with me. So let's go through and show you how the two different definitions work for an idiom. One, figurative definition, is going to be the common definition, the one we know it to mean. So when the teacher says, your choices right now are driving me up a wall, you've hopefully heard that phrase before.
Yeah, I actually haven't.
What does it mean if the teacher says you're driving me up a wall, Greg?
Your teacher's like driving you crazy.
There you go. That you are driving me crazy and I am going insane because of your behavior. That's the figurative one, the one that you should hopefully know it to mean. Now, if you're new to English, or English is not your natural language, then you might not understand the phrase when the teacher says you're driving me up a wall. You're going to get real confused and wonder why your teacher needs to go grab their car keys and try to find something holding up a ceiling. So that's where we get to the literal definition, which is where you try to take it word for word because you've never heard it before. And there's idioms you've probably never heard of before. If I say you've got to watch out for Owen, that kid's a silver-tongued devil, he's going to get you into trouble. And you go,
Be nice to Owen.
I don't see any horns on him. I saw his tongue when he was eating it. It wasn't so... Good job. That would be the literal definition. Figurative goes a whole different direction. So figurative is when you know what it means. Literal is when you have to take it word for word because you've never heard it before. Very boring. So that's where we're going to make it less boring by making this disappear.
Wait.
Before you freak out, it's going to come back. So don't completely freak out. Just baby freak out.
Wait.
Okay. Raw.
Wait.
So now you're going to go over one to the right, which says it's raining cats and dogs. And I'm going to run you through an example one. Saying it's raining cats and dogs is an example of an idiom. Raining cats and dogs. First off, baby steps. What are the two definitions of an idiom? That's baby stepping, figurative and literal. What does figurative mean?
The common definition.
So my goal is if we keep repeating it, eventually it beats it into your head, then come like quiz time and homework time, it sticks in your head a little bit better. If you for some reason did not get that copy down earlier, I told you it was going to show up again, there it's showing up again. Now, here's where you cannot be a globetrotter. When you give me the figurative definition of an idiom, you cannot reuse any of the nouns or verbs from the idiom. So you cannot use the words raining, cats, or dogs. So if I were to say, hey, hopefully you weren't outside yesterday because it was raining cats and dogs. You're not thinking, oh my God, we have to go to the Humane Society. You know what it would mean. So what does raining cats and dogs mean?
It's raining a lot.
It's pouring.
Good job, kids who did not use the word raining.
It's pouring.
Willie J,
It's pouring a bunch,
pouring a bunch of animals?
a bunch of water.
There you go. So you can't just say it's pouring because that doesn't give me all the information. So you have to be able to give, I put large drops of water are falling from the sky. And here's, if you write these down, you get to use them to help you out when it comes time for like the quiz and the homework and stuff like that. If you just stare at the wall and drool, then that's fine, but then don't come back and yell at me. Hello.
Can we simplify it?
Sure, that's fine with me. You don't have to use my exact same one at all.
Thank you.
I'm fine with that. What does literal mean?
Like
And if you did not get it copied down earlier, we're here to help you. Now here's again, if you are new to English and you hear it is raining cats and dogs, you cannot use raining, cat, or dog. So you're going to have to learn these things called synonyms. Not cinnamon. That's what you put into your mouth for TikTok for the challenge that makes you throw up. It's a different thing.
I actually did that.
Synonym are the words that sound similar or similar. So you'd have to come up with a synonym for raining. So what would be a synonym for raining? Pouring. Synonym for cat?
Kitty. Animal.
Kitty.
Tiger.
Now you can't use animal because that would not be different than dog. Nor can you be like first period and yell out chicken because apparently that kid did not realize that cats and chickens are different, which was kind of scary about how he eats things in his house. But yes, I would agree with kittens. And then a synonym for dogs would be?
Puppies.
There you go. So then you put that together and you get felines and canines are dropping from the air.
Wait, what?
Couldn't we just do kitties and puppies?
Sure.
Can I put kitties
That's
and
fine,
puppies?
22.
What is a feline?
What about
You don't have to have the exact same thing as mine as long as you don't have cat, dog, or rain.
kitties and puppies?
Mutts and
I'm confused.
Meow meows,
and
Kitty.
whiskers,
Right.
leg scratchers,
Okay.
things that sleep on your face at night.
That's too what?
Cats like to come
You
and
need to be
sleep on top of your
careful.
face.
Yes, very
I'm just gonna stick with feline.
That's why I closed my door.
Hell yeah!
All right, next
What is
one.
another word for kitty?
What?
Female?
Runt me.
This test is a piece of cake.
You so you're right. This
Oh.
test is a piece of cake.
I couldn't.
What are the two definitions of an idiom?
Literal.
What does figurative mean?
The common definition.
definition.
So again, not being able to use the words in there, using our synonyms.
Synonyms.
What would be, now's the part where I get to randomly call in a child to find what would be the figurative definition of this test is a piece of cake. Omar?
The figurative definition of the
Way to repeat my question.
is this assignment is easy.
Works for me.
I'm gonna say this quiz.
Look at that. I put this assessment as
Whoa.
easy. Oh my goodness, get out of my hand.
Quiz.
Oh my gosh.
Joey.
I made my own idiom in response to this. I will pass this test with flying colors.
That would be another idiom. You
No,
are
it's
correct.
not. Oh.
What does literal mean?
The word for word definition of the phrase.
Soon we're going to stop repeating these multiple times once I feel it's properly beaten into your brain.
Thank gosh.
All right, Willie J, you feel you have this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
The literal meaning would be that the exam
Uh-huh.
is a slice of ice cream cake. It's pie, yeah.
Put it all together and you have
This exam is a slice of pie.
that would work.
A sugary delight.
Sugary delight would work.
This quiz
I
is
put
not.
tasty frosted dessert, but yeah, that would work.
You just put dessert. Do you have to put frosting?
No, you can put dessert. That's fine. I'm kind of wordy.
Wait, what?
Thanks, I'll let
You're kind of what?
wordy. You are barking up the wrong tree. I tried to find one that you may not know.
I know that
So
one.
if you do,
I know it.
if you don't, that's great also. So one, what are the two definitions of an idiom?
The common definition.
So here's the thing with this one. If you have, back up. How many of you guys have heard of this idiom and you could answer it?
No.
How many of you guys have never heard of this idiom and have no idea? And with idioms, that's going to happen because there's going to be idioms that have been around that they've just never been used around you. Then if I go, hey, what do you think you're doing? You're barking up the wrong tree. It gets real confusing when you're like, woof, woof. And so that's where it's going to get confusing. If you've never heard this one before, of the two meanings, which one can you figure out? Literal. Because if I say Gidget's barking up the wrong tree, then you're going to go, I'm confused. Why am I outside in a forest? And so you can figure out the literal part of it. What does figurative mean?
The common definition.
There you go. So for those of you who have heard of this idiom, what does it mean, Jack?
You are anchoring the wrong person.
Oh, close. But you're on the right track. That's slightly different. Tiffy?
You're getting the wrong idea.
It's more that one where you're going. So the idea comes off of a dog chasing a squirrel, and the squirrel goes up one tree, and the dog is barking up a different tree while the squirrel's. That's where the idea comes from. Is that you've made a mistake about this? That you are yelling at something even though you're wrong. So when I'm like over here yelling at Ava for losing her pencil, I'm like, Ava, how could you lose your pencil? That's ridiculous. And she's like, Mr. Hogan, I haven't lost my pencil. I'm like, Ava, I saw you at the beginning of it. And she's like, no, you're barking up the wrong tree. I'm like, oh yeah, that was a different
Be
kid.
nice to
So that's why I have the whole barking up the wrong tree. What does literal mean?
The funny definition.
There you go.
Funny.
Greg.
You are woofing up the incorrect large plants.
What's me? I did woofing also. I did incorrect tall bush. So that would work for me. The main area that kids are going to mess up is the not reusing the same words, making sure that you go somewhere different and using your synonyms.
What is it?
How do a tall plant?
It's like the word parallelogram.
It is.
What's that
There's
word?
so many
Parallelogram.
What's
If you think about the fact that parallelogram has two L's in it that go right next to each other, what does that blow your mind? Hello.
So, kind of like the other words, like you are, the, we can use.
Yeah, those I don't care about. Just basically just the nouns and the verbs.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Just want to make sure.
Yeah. I just want to make you guys have to think a little bit.
It's a parallelogram.
Whatever.
Why what?
Why'd you change wrong?
They have two sets of parallel
We don't have another.
You don't have. It's an adjective. I just like to try to push myself. Even though it's not a noun or verb, you're correct. So, cat have your tongue. The two definitions are
Something.
Funny.
figurative and literal. Figurative means
The common definition.
Where is it?
this was not on your paper. We're done doing notes now. It's just us
Good.
getting a chance to think. What does cat have your tongue mean?
The
You can't speak.
There you go. That you can't speak and you're having trouble getting the words out.
It's cat.
What does literal mean?
The funny definition. Or the
Well,
word
all right.
for word.
Word for word.
So again, what would be our literal one for this one? Not being able. This one gets tougher because you can't use tongue,
Ow.
and it's hard to come up with a word to replace tongue. So it requires a bit more creativity. Ariana,
The kitty has the pink thing in your mouth.
works for me. There you go. I put the pink mouth muscle. Same idea. So after I did this one, I found that a lot of times cartoonists will draw little cartoons that go along with it.
Yeah.
So then I got the idea is, if I gave you this cartoon,
Oh no.
would you be able to figure out the idiom?
Yeah.
Alright, let's try. So I'm going to give you some cartoons.
It just
We're going to
looks
see
like
if you can figure out the idiom that connects to it. Yeah,
It just looks like a Tom and Jerry.
kind of.
Then also gonna be time for
Oh, I got it.
This one would be
Heartbreak.
What?
heartbreak or heartbroken. Now, realize, if you yell out a phrase that doesn't make sense, it's not going to be an idiom. If you yell out, picking up heart pieces off the ground, that's not an idiom that anyone ever uses. So, an idiom is a common phrase that people have heard before, not you being a random strange child.
Karen.
Hey, never correct.
So sometimes it helps to think it through before
Got
you
your
yell
arms
out,
full.
"Stabby paper!" Stabby paper's not an idiom.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Paper cut
I said
is.
that first.
I didn't hear you. People yelling "stabby paper" were louder
Wait,
than
no,
you.
but paper cuts are literal because the paper can cut you.
No,
No,
they
it
should
is, but it's also an idiom.
Like something.
A paper cutter.
Selfie stick.
Skinny queen.
There you go.
Oh, go, Helios.
Again, it helps if it's a thing we've heard of, like a selfie stick.
Hourglass.
You've heard of a skinny queen before.
Rocking chair.
Musical chairs.
What?
Musical chairs is not a bad one.
That
If
could
you had
actually
more
work.
than one, I would agree. Being only one,
Musical
it's
chair.
rocking chair.
Not play.
Firehouse.
Playing with fire.
Playing with fire.
Playing with fire, as opposed to a firehouse.
Well, look like you're building a house and there's a
Sticking with fire,
Looks
but
like
connecting
Dream.
it to school.
fire drill.
Fire drill.
There you go. Fire drill.
I was drinking, so I technically went first.
What's a fire drill?
No chocolate.
Milk.
Chocolate milk.
You're close, but not quite.
Milk with chocolate.
What are they doing?
Chocolate.
Shaking hands.
Shaking
Chocolate
milk.
milkshake.
Agree.
Chocolate.
Chocolate milkshake.
Chocolate
I
milkshake.
said that first.
You said milkshake.
Chocolate
milkshake.
Shake.
Y'all are hating.
Who was Karen?
Old school.
Mine is keep right.
So this one's gonna be old school,
Oh, I hate people.
and
Definitely old.
Time flies.
Fried
dip.
Fry ramen.
fast food.
They could have put
There
more.
are two O's in food.
Shouting
Good
over
job.
comes to
Why
mind.
didn't you just put the
You shouldn't have said.
Why your
Put on your shoes. No. A nine. Like a Oh, they're dancing. But
They
what
are
Dancing.
No, shoe dancing. What is
dancing
dancing.
shoes.
Dancing with the shoes.
That was kind of hard. All of yours are dancing.
That's why I tried to make them a little bit tougher as it went along to try and make you have to do
Looks
things.
like a moon.
So if you turn your paper over, this is sort of what you're going to be doing.
What?
You're going to be getting a chance to do artistry. So you're going to be finding an idiom that we have not already done, and you're in luck. I checked this morning, and there's still thousands out there, so you have any number of ones to choose from. You're going to be writing your idiom here, creating the figurative definition, the literal definition, and then you're going to be drawing a picture of each one. So for this one, it says the figurative is don't tell the secret. The literal is don't let the feline escape from the sack.
What?
What would the idiom be?
Don't.
Don't let the
Don't let the cat out of the bag. So here you have, he's telling a secret and his mouth is all, now you keep your mouth zipped would be an example of another idiom, by the way. And so there he's zipping his mouth. Over here you have, there's a cat with a little bag on top of it and they're all wrapped up. That's what I'm looking for you to be able to do. I have no problem if you want to do stick figures. You just have to put clothing on stick figures. Do not give me naked stick figures. Naked stick figures are creepy. So you're going to have to find a way to put clothing on them. And then part of it is you filling in the picture and not just putting a small thing in the middle when you do it. Let me give you a couple more examples. So this one, your figurative is, I'm in trouble. Your literal is, I'm stuck in a salty soaked cucumber.
I'm in a pickle.
There you go. Then I'm in a pickle. So that would be your example from there. You have to make sure you do complete sentence and complete sentence there. Gray,
Can we Google idioms if you can?
absolutely. There'll be a whole bunch of them you can find. This one, your figurative is, stop what you're doing. Your literal is, carry your vegetarian stripeless zebra.
What? Girl, what?
Hold your horses.
Hold your horses.
You're a vegetarian. What?
Vegetarian.
I have no idea. I'm not the one that made that one.
Shouldn't it be a herbivore instead of a vegetarian?
Probably, but again, I'm not the one that made it. You might not know this, but sometimes
She
second
probably
graders.
was vegetarian herself.
But that gives you ideas there
That's actually
again.
a good show. That's actually a good
She was a
drawing,
good
though.
drawer. She was not a good speller, but that's okay. And this one, your figurative is, I lost a lot of money. Your literal is, I paid with a calf and a forearm.
I paid with
paid with
a
It cost an arm and a leg.
Wow.
So now you're getting, this is what I'm having you do. You're going to find an idiom that you enjoy, draw the 2 pictures.
Ooh, I know what I'm
That's
gonna do.
incorrect because
I already
all
know.
these told her.
The things, if you take a look at your paper, here's the things to bring attention to. 1, have you written your first and last name on it? Because you're turning it in person, not on canvas, but like an actual paper being turned in.
Yay.
These things over there are called directions. This is where a lot of you are going to lose points because I'm not going to read them to you. We're going to find out which kids have read them. Make sure you do the literal definition and the figurative. It is due Monday, which is going to be...
What's the date?
Dang.
Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
Let's see, what is today? The 7th?
Yeah.
So the 6th plus 7 is the 13th?
Whoa,
13th.
that's
Let's
crazy.
do the
Wait.
13th.
The 13th. So it should be
Oh my
due
God.
Monday, December 13th.
That's our
So
last
we've got like
week.
a week to work on it. Okay.
And then you're going to write your figurative definition on that one. My goal is hopefully Thursday, after you guys finish your NWEA, then you should have plenty of time to try and get it done then. So I was trying to set it up so you'd have time afterwards. Mamel,
Are you going to put them in the binder?
some of I will. That's why I have some down here I've kept. I have some idioms I've kept. The kids who do extra credit, well, one, the kids that do really well, I hang them out there in the hallway. And so for other people to get a chance to see, we cover all the windows for the library. And then from those, I pick some to say. And then again, I'm drawing giant arrow to the directions thing. You guys have slightly more time than the other ones, so we're going to give you a chance to start. If you're not sure if something's an idiom, I can help you out. If you're not sure what the figurative meaning is for an idiom, don't choose it. Choose one you know. So if you see one that says, don't flip the sugar into the ocean, and you're like, what does that mean? The answer is it means don't choose that one. Because if you've never heard of it, it's not one that you want to pick.
So,
If it helps, here is, and I'll leave this up there for home children also, an example of just a quick little scan I did to try to pull some off for you.